you could probably program this one yourself. I'm going to go through it very quickly because this is very similar to what we did before. For this object SPI, we're just going to program the keyboard events first. So it's going to be keyboard left, add event, keyboard right, add event, keyboard up, add event, keyboard down, and add event, keyboard no key, which is all the way down the bottom. I'm also going to add keyboard E, but we'll do that later after we get these down. So left, we're going to check and make sure they're aligned with the instance. Now you don't necessarily need to do this, but if you don't, it's going to be very difficult to actually control your player. So I'm going to check if they're aligned with the, if this instance is aligned with the grid, and then I'm going to have them move left. And the speed of 4 is probably a good speed here. I'm just going to highlight both of these by holding Shift and clicking on them, Control C, copy them into all the others. And then just go back, change this one to up, change this one to right, change this one to down. And for no key, check if they're aligned with the grid, and then set it to that. So now I should be able to control this SPI, and let's just check and see if that works. So the SPI is down the bottom left corner. I can control them without a problem. They're not colliding with the walls. I can just move through it at the moment and move through everything else. So we'll have to sort that out. Okay, so let's go back into there. Add event, collision with the wall. We want to check. We want to stop moving. And we want to align with the grid 32 by 32, just in case it throws it out. So when they collide with the wall, we want to align it to a grid of 32 by 32. Now there's a few things that we need to do on the create event for the SPI because we don't want it to be in the same place every time. We also don't want all the people to be in the same place every time. So what we're going to do is add a create event. Now this part is different to what we did before. And we're going to have to do something here, jump to a random position and snap 32 by 32. Now what's going to happen here is it could possibly jump inside another object. So what we also need to do here is add a step event that we check. And this is what we're going to check. Is there an object, a wall, at 0, 0 relative to our current object? If there is, then we're going to jump to another random position. Now, what will happen is maybe for the first few seconds of the game the SPI might be in a random location, but now he's down the bottom there. So he started down here. Let's run it again. And now the SPI is there. So we can use this to make sure that the SPI does not start in any of these positions, any of these squares here, and it won't stay outside of the room, so that's not a problem. We also need to make sure they don't start on the escape square, because we don't want anyone starting on the escape square. We want them to just start somewhere in the building. So then we go step, and we just do the same thing as well in this case. Check object, escape, and relative, and jump to a random position, 32 by 32. So that just makes sure that it snaps to that location when it jumps there. It doesn't just jump to some random position with odd numbers in it that's going to be off kilter. So that's that one there. And the counter SPI, we can also just put this code into the counter SPIs one too. So let's copy those and go into here, add event, step event, and we'll also copy this one, add event, create, and copy that in there. So now when we run it, the counter SPI and the SPI will both be at different locations. And now, of course, we can add this to the person as well, and the president and the ambassador. So add those bits of code to each of those different objects, the person, the president, the ambassador, the document as well. So basically add it to everything. So we're kind of randomizing the startup scenario. It could mean that some startup scenarios are a bit imbalanced, but hopefully they won't be. So let's get those sorted. So I've gone through now and added these to the person. I've added them to the president. I've added them to the ambassador. I've added them to the document, the spy, and the counter spy. So you don't want to add it to the escape, and you don't want to add it to the wall. You don't want those things randomizing every time. Because if you add it to the wall, you could start off in a location where you're actually surrounded by walls and wouldn't be able to move. So that seems to be working. Now there's a bit of an imbalance up here with 3 documents in the one area. It also doesn't account for 2 people being in the same location. That's not a problem, because in this we want the people to be able to pass each other, just walk straight through each other essentially. So the player could at points walk straight past the assassin and not get caught by them. Alright, so let's program the assassin now. This is going to be or the counter spy, sorry. So it's going to be very similar. We will use, I'm going to actually change this, change keyboard letters. Left is going to be A for this guy. Up is going to be W, so keyboard, letters W. Down is going to be S, letters S, and right is going to be D. So change keyboard letters D. Now because this is 2-player, what we are going to have to do is redefine this at some stage, because even though the player may not be pushing any of these, the other player might still be pushing a key, and so it won't stop this player. So we need to sort that out and make sure that we put in a specific check, probably in the step event, and just check if one of 4 different keys is not being pushed, then we stop. So if this, and if this, and if this, and if this, and if this is not being pushed, then stop moving. So we'll sort that out afterwards. So the counter spy one, we're going to create event, keyboard left, add event, keyboard right, add event, keyboard up, keyboard down. And it's going to be exactly the same as the other one. So we check, is it snapped to a grid, and then we move. This one's up. And this guy's going to move, make him move at speed 8, so he's going to actually move faster. It does need to be divisible by the number of the snapping. So 8 is divisible by, or 32 is divisible by 8. It goes to 4. And I'll just copy these 2. So left, right, down. Okay, so now the counter spy should be able to move as well. Oops. Okay, so what you're seeing there is that random jump when it gets on top of one of those wall objects. So we just need to make sure that we add event collision with a wall. We tell him to stop if he's what did we do for the spy? Collision with the wall, stop, and align to grid. That's right. So object wall, stop, and align to grid should be on move. There it is, 32 by 32. So let's check what happens now. So now you can see this, the counter spy can move a lot faster. And the spy is down the bottom there, and they can move at the same time without any problem. I can't really control them well at the same time, but you'll see how that other guy keeps moving. If I push down, he's going to keep moving even though I'm not pushing W, A, or D at the moment because I'm still pushing one of the up, down, left, right arrow keys. So we'll have to sort that out. We will add an event now, keyboard no key, and we'll just stop 0, making sure that we only stop if we're aligned to the grid 32 by 32. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to click on OK on all of these, and that'll be it. Next video we'll put in the AI for these guys, which should be pretty straightforward. I'm actually going to give you a script for this. You could maybe figure one out for yourself, but this script's going to make it look a little bit more intelligent. So I'll click Done.